Greetings, everybody. I had many exciting performances, different themes, and today I feel this is one of the closest to how I feel, to my heart. These composers are close to Europe, and I'm from Europe. Victor Young, they're both unsung heroes, beautiful melodies, but somehow they didn't have the names. Their compositions were on the same level as Gershwin, Porter, Rodgers, but some people get bigger names than others. And one thing about Victor Young, he was the closest to Gypsy Roma music. His melodies had a sweeping character, just beautiful connected lines with a soulful feeling, with that Eastern European connection. Wonderful stuff. And today I will try to bring out the best important characteristics from each. 1 second, I need a sip, I'll tell you something. I need a little cream for my hands, so it's like they feel a little stickum, so I don't slide over the keys. From what I remember, Arthur Rubinstein, before he played, he had the piano sprayed, either, I don't know, like a hairspray or something, that it would help him stick, not to slide. So anyway, I use Norwegian hand cream. Exciting thing, before this program, I get a call from a gentleman. I suggest you go to victoryoung.com, Victor Young Institute, where they tell you the history of this phenomenal composer. And he told me some things that I didn't know, but I will relay them to you today. The first selection is from the film The Mummy. It's a horror film, but it has romance. The mummy comes back to life, falls in love with a young lady that looks like he's past love. And the song is Beautiful Love. This is an American standard. However, you feel there is a gypsy connection with that minor feeling and that sweeping melody that really touches the heart. It's just a great connection that Victor Young had. A little story on him. He comes from a prominent Jewish musical family that came from Warsaw. And his father, who was a conductor, when Victor's young mother died, he was around 10. He thought he sent him in 1910 or so to Warsaw to study at the conservatory. He becomes a highly talented concert violinist, touring Europe with different symphony orchestras. And at the Russian Revolution, the Bolshevik, just before, he does a command performance for the Russian Tsar Nicholas. And what happens? The Bolsheviks arrest him. And all these years I knew that. And I knew that he got away from jail. But how? Well, thank God to the gentleman from Victor Young Institute. What happened? In the jail cell, he played a beautiful sounding, expensive, beautiful violin, and he had a talent for sound and tone. When they heard that beautiful sound outside, even the communists had a heart. They let him go. They knew he doesn't belong in jail. So, and then the gentleman told me he goes to Warsaw, and the Germans take over there. So what happens then? He goes to jail too. However, he played the violin, and when they heard that beauty, they let him out. But as the gentleman from the Warsaw, from the Victor Young Institute said, in the Second World War that wouldn't have happened because the Nazis were so anti-Jewish, they wouldn't have. But in the First War, he escaped. And what happens? He finds his way back to America. And his first film, The Mummy. And he wrote so many film scores. And his first hit, Victor Young, besides romantic melodies, he was also a guy tuned into jazz. So his first tune dealing with a jazz feeling, which I'll play later, Sweet Sue. Well, next we go to Italian composer Harry Warren. That's not Italian. However, his birth name, he was an Italian from Brooklyn. His birth name was Salvatore Antonio Guaragna. His sister changed the name. He wrote 42nd Street. Can you see? Now, ladies and gentlemen, you heard a beautiful melody from 42nd Street written by Salvatore Antonio Guaragna. Somehow in America it doesn't match. So Harry Warren. Sorry, little Turkish coffee sip. these songs, when you play it instrumentally, you have to make it sing on the instrument. I wish I could sing, because you can hear the lyrics and stuff. And one nice thing that I appreciate, when I worked with the great vocalist John Hendricks, he emphasized to be able to sing. Piano, bass solo, make it sing. Saxophone, and he told me, you can sing on the piano. I've been working on that, trying to bring out the melody in a singing message. And Harry Warren also, melodies, had that lasting message where you feel a song, not just a kind of a nicely put melody from a cerebral point. They really had lyricism, and Harry Warren had that great talent. This tune, You'll Never Know, was the Academy Award winner in 1943, but he wrote so many phenomenal tunes, and I will play some today. And people would hear 42nd Street, they would hear another hit, Serenade in Blue, September in the Rain, Affair to Remember. He also wrote That's Amore, When the Moon Hits Your Eye Like a Big Pizza Pie. And you would ask him, who wrote that tune? I don't know. So he became known as Harry Who. So he even hired a publicist to get his name out there. Oh boy, so many funny things happened in music, you know. Really, really something. Now we go back to Harry Warren, to Victor Young, that is, and see a film, The Uninvited, another kind of ghost horror story where there's a ghost in the house, and there the actor Ray Milland is living with his sister Ruth Hussey, and he composes Stella by Starlight, the daughter of the lady who's haunting the house. Stella was played by a beautiful actress, Gail Russell, and that's where the song comes from. And I will do two versions. First, kind of traditional swinging bebop, Hampton Hawes from LA played, and then Miles Davis' slower version with Bill Evans, using Bill Evans' harmonic concept. This is Stella by Starlight. hear this sweeping melody. It has a symphonic quality. I have a music degree from San Francisco State, and the great saxophonist John Handy, who played with Mingus. He had his own hits at the Monterey Festival, great musician, played this with the orchestra, full orchestra arranged. It has that kind of a quality. Victor Young just was so exceptional. And let's mention this. The great pianist Barry Harris made a simple, powerful statement. Standards are perfect the way they are put together, everything moving, beautiful melodies and harmonies. The composers who wrote standards studied music. Also, they had a natural talent. So to put what they call 8 bars standards, 32, and then a bridge, 8 bars and a different. At school, the classical teachers, a lot of them had a snobbish attitude. Classical music is the top. It is wonderful. But wait a minute, there's other kinds of things. If I was then the way I am now, I would say, wait a minute. Beethoven, Bach, Mozart, beautiful. Are they more powerful than a Gypsy Roma melody and music? Those guys can't read, but they play from here. No, it's not more powerful. I would have told them that. It's the musical statement. Let's compare it to food. You can have a simpler meal with great ingredients, very healthy, or you can have a chef with sauces and everything, which tastes great, but can you say it's better than the other one? No. It's what's in there and how it affects you and the body and the mind. So the classical composers were a little snobbish, you know, and the standards. Now, for example, when you hear a symphony, you hear a lot of what they call thematic development. You have a theme and then you develop it, shuffle it around creatively. But not all the symphonies, when you come out, you can hum something that stays with you. That's where the standards come in. They remain with you. Anyway, I wanted to give you that message. Now, another message. My shows are free of charge, but I'm not a tech guy. I have to pay somebody to set up the microphones, the camera, to get the sound right, and the tips do help to keep it going. On the side of the piano, the camera shows you 3 ways: Venmo, Zelle, and PayPal. Whatever, big or small. One thing that I'd like to mention, there are some regular supporters, but they can't leave all the time, and so many people watch. Even if you would leave a $5 tip, like for example, to go to a movie, minimum is $16. So 5, you know, from what I'm telling you, I don't mean to be on an ego trip. I'm quoting Jack Webb. Just the facts, ma'am. I'm bringing you something that you don't normally get. So whatever you can do, it's appreciated. Next, from Stella by Starlight, we go to Salvatore Guaragna, Harry Warren. You're My Everything, 1931 song way ahead of its time, with the melodies moving chromatically, and then when you add modern chords, it becomes really ahead of its time. You're my everything. You're My Everything, when you sing it slow, it has another sweeping melody. Billy Eckstine recorded it with his beautiful, magnificent baritone voice. Also, Sarah Vaughan had a beautiful version, and instrumentally, Freddie Hubbard had a medium, I played a little faster, medium tempo, really hit, be-do-dip, be-it-up, bo-ba-do-dee-da. Sometimes it's more effective to play it more in a medium tempo. Speaking of Victor Young, so many film scores, so many beautiful melodies. Poor gentleman died at age of 57. Why? He was overworked. He did so much writing, his system and heart couldn't hold it. So many film scores, when you go and check out online, Victor Young was nominated for 22 staggering Academy Awards. He won for Around the World in 80 Days. Beautiful melody. However, Stella by Starlight and My Foolish Heart, which I'm playing next, were on a higher level. But he did at least win one. And the other night, I saw it a long time ago, but last night I said, let's watch, my wife and I, great film, Samuel Goldwyn film, Our Very Own, Anne Blythe and Farley Granger and young Natalie Wood. Score and the title tune, Our Very Own, it opens the time with a song, the theme. I suggest you watch this film. It's available on YouTube. And one jazz musician who recorded this melody, because it was really heartfelt, was the great tenor bebop player, Sonny Stitt, Our Very Own. So next, from another film, My Foolish Heart, Victor Young, My Foolish Heart. My hands get dry, that's why I need to use a little more stickum. Harry Warren's My Foolish Heart, title of a romantic film that had some sadness. Dana Andrews was maybe a Navy person in the Second World War, and Susan Hayward was his wife. They got married, and he was killed in a war, never to return. She was so distraught, but it carried on so hard in her psyche that she became out of control and messed up somebody else's marriage. And maybe I shouldn't have told you, check the film, but everything worked out in the end. As they say, happy Hollywood ending. Beautiful. And what is interesting, both Harry Warren and Victor Young, composers, were favorite of jazz musicians. Miles Davis loved Stella by Starlight, and I forgot to do his version. I played a fast version of Hampton Halls. Now I will, before the next one, I think I'll do it the way Miles Davis played it, slow, with Bill Evans on piano and laying a platform of new harmonies that is set up on kind of blue, and Coltrane soloing on top of that. So I'll do Miles' version of Stella. Different key, I have to start from beginning. Different key. I needed to kind of get it a little closer to accuracy, but at least you heard some of the Bill Evans type of harmonies. Oh boy. So next we go back to Harry Warren, 1937, September in the Rain, and a lot of those songs were done slower, original way, nice melody, but also they could swing. And this one, September Rain, was done by Harry James, Anita O'Day. However, my favorite version is Red Garland Trio, 1957, Swung. Next we go to another classic by Victor Young, Street of Dreams. This was done, I believe, during the Depression, written in 32, when people were so unfortunately down out, little hopeful imagination, Street of Dreams. And Victor Young was known before the theme of the main title is stated to have a beautiful introduction. Beautiful Love, the song, had a wonderful introduction. Go to YouTube and put this title, Beautiful Love from the Mummy, and then you will hear a beautiful introduction from this piece going to the theme. Now, this tune, Street of Dreams, also has a beautiful introduction. Let's see if I do it from memory, but it's really a beautiful introduction, Street of Dreams. One of the greatest versions for me, because of the introduction and beautiful piano accompaniment by Lou Levy, was by Peggy Lee. Go on YouTube and put Peggy Lee, Street of Dreams. Beautiful strings, and then that introduction with Lou Levy. You had great accompanists. Hank Jones, Tommy Flanagan, and some others like Dan Abney is not known. Beautiful accompanying Ella Fitzgerald, Carmen McRae. But Lou Levy had something special, the way he would voice the chords, give them a color. It was so poetic, and I had the pleasure of doing a duet with Lou Levy. But listen to that, and when you hear the introduction, very artistic, beautiful accompaniment. So we have time for a couple more quick ones. This is Salvatore get mixed up between Italian Salvatore Guaragna, Harry Warren name, Serenade in Blue, a beautiful standard from Glenn Miller film Orchestra Wives, 1942, but the bebop guys loved it. Billy Eckstine had the first bebop band. Dizzy Gillespie, Miles Davis in the band, Dexter Gordon, and Billy Eckstine sang it, Serenade in Blue, and then Dexter Gordon, when he went on his own, played it, Serenade in Blue. James does a beautiful recording of this live from the Palladium in Hollywood. First time a stereo was done. Young engineers knew how to spread the sound and did it in stereo. Also, I recorded the song with Tom Harrell on an LP. You can hear it on YouTube, but also on a TV show. KPBS, my good friend Paul Marshall had Channel 15 San Diego KPBS called Club Date. He recorded all the top bands. And on my website, go on top menu, media YouTube video, you'll see that. Tom Harrell, one of the greatest trumpet players. And we have time for a quick version of Victor Young, Sweet Sue. Let me tell you something in a minute. As I mentioned, Victor Young was not just a beautiful ballad, romantic composer. He knew jazz. Count Basie had a hit ballad, 38, Blue and Sentimental. Where does it come from? 1931, Victor Young piece called Can't We Talk It Over? The same harmony, similar melody, Victor Young first and Eddie Durham, Count Basie trombonist, who also was the first gentleman to invent an amplifier for the guitar. took that and made it blue and sentimental, but it comes from Victor Young. Well, here is a short version of Sweet Sue. As I mentioned earlier, my programs are free, no charge. The only thing is I'm not a tech person. I pay somebody to set up the microphones, the sound. At the end of the piano, you can leave a tip, Zelle, Venmo, PayPal. No matter how small or whatever, it all helps to keep it going. Sweet Sue. Thank you. Please tell your friends about my Saturday streaming shows that happen different times when I don't have live performance. So I'll be off next week. I have some live gigs. But if you like to be on my email list, hit the subscribe button and then you will find out. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you enjoy these two unsung heroes, Harry Warren, Victor Young. Thank you.